show you, but let's finish this one first. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So those are 9 fields. I know that this is user task. It was arranged wrongly by me. It was my mistake in the previous video, so I will rearrange it. So it's supposed to be task user, because in Laravel, when you are arranging a table that is a join table, you try and make them in alphabetical order. For instance, T comes before you, so it should be task user. So once you are dealing with two tables and you want to join them as a join table, you make the one that comes first in the alphabet to come first. Alright, so we counted 9 fields, so I'm just gonna do 9 here. 9 field, hit enter. So the first field is ID, and that is ID. And we can look at other fields. We have user ID, task ID, reward points. That's user ID. User ID. We have task ID. ID. We have reward points. And what else? Reward points. Then we have proof and status. We have proof, and we have status. And then we have created at, deleted at, updated at, updated at. So this created at and updated at are contained in the timestamps, but then we need soft deletes. So the soft delete will be deleted at. So as usual, it's gonna be press D, enter. Press D, enter. D, enter. Status, what type? The status is an integer and has a default of 0. Is an integer, so we'll put 11 here and have a default of as defined, put 0. Then the proof is a string, okay, that can be nullable. The proof can be nullable, so I'm selecting this. It can be null and it's a string, so it's variable character. Press V, variable character, hit enter, then put 255. So I would have felt honestly that the proof should be a text. That's a text area. Do you understand what I'm saying? You will see the reason why later, because at the end of the day, the proof can be a URL by somebody, or it can be a picture or whatever else, or a write-up. So that's why it doesn't just have to be 255. So I'm gonna remove this, and the reward points is integer, put 11. Task ID is integer, put 11, and the user ID is integer, 11, and then 11. Now what the next thing we're supposed to do is to confirm if there are any other nullable fields. Do we have any other empty fields? So this is reward point is supposed to be 0 by default, so we're just gonna do reward points should be 0 as defined. We'll give it a 0. Alright, so the ID is auto increment. Look at it, ID here says increment, so we're just gonna come here and do an ID. Oh sorry, it's not gonna be null. We have to pull to the right a little so you can see. So here you see, here is auto increment. It will give you this pop-up. You say okay. Alright, we've constructed the table. We'll click save. So now it has saved, and we now have a table called task user with all these fields. Now the next thing we need to do is to actually change this to user task. So we'll call it task user, task underscore user, and then we're gonna change that name here to task underscore user table, and we're going to have to rename this. Instead of create user task, we'll say create task user. So click here. So we are basically essentially correcting the mistake we made the other time. Hit enter, and